I did it. I'm training for a 50K ultra marathon at the age of 38. Now, this is crazy because I've never done a race like this before. To be honest with you, the only race that I've ever done is a half marathon. So it's scary as hell. But why did I do it? Honestly, the reason why I wanted to do something like this is because I just wanted to do something that I was proud of before the age of 40. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Justin. I have been training for about 20 years, lifting heavy. I've been a hockey referee for a long time, so I am very active. And I was a fitness coach and a nutrition coach for a long time. But don't worry, I have nothing to sell you. That's not the purpose of this. It's just to document for guys who are like pushing 40. They have a high stakes job. They are really just looking to be dominant in their field, whether it's work or life or what have you, while still not blowing up their body. So this is what it's all about. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of the backstory as to who I am, why I started up, and why I do this, and why I'm honestly just documenting this journey. To be honest with you, I have been in content for a long time. I feel that it's very cathartic to create content and talk about the journey. It's almost like journaling for me. And I've been documenting this ultra marathoning journey for the past, 5 months that I've been doing it. The race is in August 23rd in Bragg Creek, Alberta. And it's up a mountain. So it's like 50 kilometers up a mountain. And so 2350 meters elevation. And I'm thinking about every day how I can just keep my body in check while I'm doing this. So a little bit of backstory about me and why I got into this race and how I got into fitness and everything like that. So in my 20s, I went to broadcasting school. I wanted to be a journalist. To be honest with you, I actually wanted to be an actor, but I told myself in my head that you're not going to make it. You're going to be a starving artist. So do something where the skills are still applicable and just see if that you can still do something where you're talking on camera or broadcasting a message. I really enjoy that side of it. I enjoy speaking. I enjoyed improv while I was going through high school and everything like that. I was in all the plays. I did all the on-stage theaters, acting. It was fun. It was something that I really enjoyed to do. So I spent 13 years in journalism. Before that, I went to college and university, and I had the college life. I gained a lot of weight. I partied, I drank, I just ate everything in sight to the point where I got to 240 pounds. Now, I'm not saying whatever, say what you will about weight. I'm not trying to say that that's a bad thing. It was just I was slow and lethargic and depressed when I was refereeing some hockey games because I'm a hockey referee. And I told myself I wanted to make the NHL. Like that was my goal. I was progressing nicely. I was making up on these levels, getting up to these levels. But the thing is I just felt slow and lethargic. And so it was a big wake up call for me one day when I was doing a midget AA game in Calgary and I couldn't keep up as a linesman anymore. And so that really frustrated me, to be honest with you, because it was just so disappointing. So I hired a coach, I lost 70 pounds, and I've been lifting ever since, and I've kind of kept the weight off, so I'm really good. So right now I'm hovering at about 180, 185, I'm 6'3", and I've been lifting for a long time. Now, in that journey, I also got certified as a fitness and a nutrition coach. But again, like I'm not here to give advice to anybody, I'm just talking about what my journey is because I want to document this. I want to look back and be like, this is something that I'm really proud of that I did. But if it helps someone else to break through that hump, that barrier, that's exactly why I'm creating this stuff. So I always trained for function. So it was never about the way I looked. So I feel like I am a hard gainer. I feel like I've got, small wrists, small joints. I feel like it's been really hard for me to put on muscle. I've been very lean and stringy for my entire life. So I've worked really hard in the gym. I've lifted really heavy the entire time, but it was always about function. It was never about the way I looked. Can I get faster as an official? Can I excel to the next level? Can I sprint up this hill? Can I lift my kids over my head? That's been really, really important for me. And it is still to this day. So if you're expecting to see my abs all over the place, I'm not doing this for this long form content. I used to do that, to be honest with you, because I thought that's what sold. And I just feel that that's not it anymore. So now as I'm pushing 40, I really have to think about like, what am I pushing towards? Like, how can my body still keep up? How can I still be competitive? And this race was something that I wanted to sign up for, to be proud of. And it's stuff that I do. I do stupid stuff like this, and I'll tell you a story. So when I bought my first car, it was a 2008 Volkswagen Jetta. It was sky blue, and I wanted a manual transmission. I'm not a guy who knows how to drive stick. And so I showed up to the lot, I signed up all the papers, I got approved for financing, everything was good to go. I was just like, I was a young kid, like early 20s. And I showed up to the lot, and I had no idea how to get, because they had parallel parked it in a certain way. And I did a little bit of practice on my friend's car, but I still was not good. So I remember I was sitting in the dealership parking lot trying to put it into reverse. And if you know anything about Volkswagen, is to put it into reverse, you have to like push down on the knob and then move here and then up. And so I didn't know this. And so I was just sitting there in the parking lot being like, what am I doing? Like, I have no idea. And I remember looking into the showroom, and I could see all the salespeople lining up being like, what the heck is this guy doing? And I'm from Calgary, and I had to drive up a hill to go home. And so I was so nervous because I left the lot around rush hour. And so I had to drive up this hill, and it was a red light up ahead, and the traffic was all backed up. And I'm like, shit, like, I don't know how I'm going to keep it in gear. Do I push the brake and hold down the clutch? Do I keep it in gear? Do I take it out of gear? Needless to say, it was the most nerve-wracking thing I've ever done, but still had a lot of fun doing it. And I'm glad that I challenged myself to do that. But I often do stuff like that. I'll be like, no experience, no problem. Let me just jump into the deep end and just figure it out. That's just how I operate. I don't know why I've always operated. Actually, I do know why. It's because when I was a kid, my mom was a single parent. And so very early on, I had to take care of the family a lot of the time. So at the age of 8, I was already doing chores. By 12, I had my first job. And it was very much just figure it out. Figure it out as you go. You can do this, right? Mom was working 3 jobs. She was trying to put food on the table, and I was just trying to figure it out. So that's just who I am and where my mindset is. And maybe if you're watching this, maybe you've got, or listening to this, maybe you've got that same kind of approach to life. And so this is how I'm navigating this ultra marathon, with that mindset in mind. So why did I pick a 50K? So if my only race was ever a half marathon, which is what, 21, 22K, why the heck would I do a 50K and add all this elevation? That is kind of twofold. So number one, I wanted to do something before the age of 40, and I wanted to set myself a long time horizon to do it. I didn't want to just say, tomorrow I'm gonna do this. I wanted to just dedicate myself to the plan and to the goals. And so that's what I'm gonna go through today, like what my training looks like, what my nutrition looks like, how often I'm running, what tools and apps I'm using, because if you're looking to do a race, maybe this could help you to do your first race, whether it is that 5K or that 10K or half marathon, whatever you're looking to do. But this is just my mindset around it. So I'll tell you a little bit of another story. When I signed up for my first half marathon, it was the same mindset as that Volkswagen Jetta. I was just like, oh, what's a race? Let's just do it. And I think it was a month away, 30 days away. And I'd run a little bit, maybe some 5Ks and some 10Ks during COVID, but nothing to the length of that. So to be honest with you, my first race, I sprinted out of the gate, and I was going so fast, I was so competitive, but I didn't think about what that would do for me long term. I also had been training fasted for such a long time that I didn't have breakfast the morning of the run. I did it fasted. I sprinted out of the gate. I was going like 5K, and I was like one of the leaders of the pack. The problem was, by about the 15th kilometer, I was like, I don't have any energy. I'm gassed. This is my first time running this distance. Crap. And so I ended up going from like a 4-minute per kilometer pace all the way to 7 minutes. 7-minute kilometers for the last 5K. And for you runners out there, you know how grueling that is when you're just running a 3-minute gap between your split. That just hurt. It painfully hurt. It hurt mentally. I was so exhausted by the end that I never made that mistake again. But you have to learn this stuff. So I'm not a runner by identity. I started running during COVID because the gyms were shut down. I needed something to do. I needed something to keep my mindset in moving my body. That was really important for my mental health, especially during that time. So I needed to just keep things moving and keep things going. So I started running. And short distances, 5, 10K, nothing crazy or anything like that. But I wanted to set this long time horizon for this goal. So I set myself up a plan that was a lot more scalable than that 30-day time frame that I gave myself for the half marathon. So what I did is I started in December, and I was running outside during snow, ice, all that sort of thing. I did get the little clip-ons, the crampons or whatever they're called, and I tried to run those. I didn't love them, so I did do a lot of treadmill running during the winter. But yeah, why don't we just go through what my training split looks like today, now that we're in the spring, summertime, so that maybe it could help you. So the first thing I always like to do when I'm setting up a training program is how much time do I have available? I always take it from the lens of calendar blocking is a must. It's a must, or otherwise these workouts just don't happen. And it's something that I've got 2 young girls, they're 8 and 5. My wife works full-time, I work full-time. So yeah, we have responsibilities. We have things and cadences to get the kids out the doors, making dinners. We don't have any home care, so we don't have any people cleaning our house or anything. Like, we're doing it all. And the best time that I've found to work out for me is early morning, because I'm motivated right when I first wake up in the morning. Actually, at this point, I'm not even motivated. Now it's a place of discipline, where when the alarm clock goes off, I'm up and I'm having a cup of coffee, having some water, having some electrolytes, and then heading to the gym so that I can get it done in 60 minutes, maybe an hour 15 if I'm going for a run. But my training split it's very simple. So right now I'm doing 3 days lifting, and that's a full body split. And then I'm doing 3 days running. Now let's start with the lifting first, and then I'll break down my running. Normally what I do is I like to reserve 1 rest day for the weekend. So that's how I start my week. So first I'll look at the calendar and I'll calendar block what my rest day is. So maybe we've got an event coming up, or maybe we want to take the kids somewhere to an amusement park or something like that. Well, in that case, that's going to be my rest day, or at least getting some steps in. That's the goal. Then what I'll do is I'll reverse engineer what my runs look like. So we have started a pretty cool running group in Calgary. It's called the Rad Dads running group. And there's only 4 of us, but honestly, it's guys who are like late 30s, early 40s, even mid 40s. And it's just such a good way to connect. So we'll figure out when our long run is. That's what we'll do. And we'll have different goals for these long runs. Generally, it's about 2 hours time on feet. We're looking at about 5 minutes, 5:15, even 5:30 for a split on the kilometer. But again, like, it really just depends. Are we doing incline? Are we doing flat? Like, where's the location? So it really depends on a lot of things. But that's where we'll schedule that first one. Then I'll schedule 2 other runs throughout the week where I'm working on hill work by myself. And there's a great hill by my house, by Windsport COP. It's in Calgary. And I will do repeats on these hills. It's not fun. It actually sucks most mornings, but I'll throw a podcast in, I'll throw some music in, and I'll just do this up and down, because again, it goes back to that discipline thing that keeps me moving through this. And in total, those hill runs, they'll get me about 11, 12 kilometers. And then the long runs are about 20, 25 kilometers. So in total, I'm doing about 50K per week. And that's the first piece of advice that I'll give to anybody who's looking to do any race. Instead of thinking about this monumental task of getting a X distance complete, so I'll use my 50K as an example. Instead of thinking about getting this one 50K race done in one go, in one rate, in one training time, I'll think about getting that done in a week. So I give myself 7 days to get the 50 kilometers in. So maybe it's a 5K here, maybe it's 15K there. Really just depends on the weather, it depends on the kids. Like, there's so many factors that go into play. But that long run really helps me set up for the week, because generally we're going about 20, 25K, and then I split the difference between my hill runs. If I need to add up anything else, I will add a 5K on the treadmill after I do one of my strength sessions. So that's how I schedule my running throughout the week. And I have to get that hill work in. That's so important with the ultra marathon that I'm doing, with the hills, the elevation that's coming up. So that's what I'm working on. Then what I'll do is I'll do 3 days lifting at the gym. And this is a completely different approach than a lot of people take to the gym. I don't focus on speed work. I go slow. I'm very methodical, very controlled reps, heavy. in between the 5 and 8 rep range is what I'm looking for when I'm doing the lifts. And generally speaking, I will do, let's call it this way. So if I do my runs on the weekend, my long run on the weekend, and then I do my hill runs on Tuesday, Thursday, that means Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm doing full body. I generally have an emphasis on the upper body right now because my legs are getting such the pounding on the hills, and I'm focused, there's a lot of quad work when it comes to the hills that I'm doing. So when I do the upper body is when I'm lifting very heavy, 5 to 8 reps on most exercises, unless it's a single joint exercise like a bicep curl or something like that. Then I'll go a little bit higher reps if I need to. My rest periods are about 2 to 3 minutes. Sometimes I'll shorten that to 90 seconds, depending if I have to get the kids to school or something like that, or I'll just remove one of my exercises and lengthen my rest time. It really just depends on how the body's feeling. So I do play it by ear when I go. Let me just pull up my phone here, and I'm going to, and if you want me to, I'll even put it in the show notes. Just drop a comment. Let me know if you want what my workouts look like right now, but here is what my split looks like right now. So I have everything on my phone. So right now, my Monday is, I've got 7 exercises that I'll do on the Monday, generally about 5 to 10 reps for all these exercises. So exercise number 1 is a box jump, very low, but I'm just still looking to get some of that explosive movement and some of that height. I'll do 3 sets of 5 of that. Then I will do a supinated, which means my palms up. I'll do a row. So it could be chest supported, it could be on a cable, it could be on a bench. It just depends on what equipment is available. Then I'll do some chin-ups. Neutral grip is what I'm looking for at this age, because oftentimes what I see is guys, when they're doing chin-ups at this age, we get like that tennis elbow, that tendinitis. So I found that neutral grip is the best for chin-ups. And if you can't do a pull-up, that's okay. Do an assisted one. That's where I started. And if I'm feeling really fatigued, I'll do an assisted pull-up, no problem. But I have to lock in the form, make sure that it's my lats doing the pulling, not just my biceps. Obviously the biceps will come into play, but that's what I'll do next. And then after that, I'm going to be doing a 1-leg hip thrust. Generally that's going to be body weight, but it depends on how the body feels. I might add a plate if I'm doing on one of those assisted machines. I might do it on that. And then after that, I'm doing some deadlifts. I do like to do an RDL with a bar, a slow controlled movements, focusing on the hamstrings and glutes, not the low back. I really want to target those glutes as much as possible when I'm doing that. And then I'll do some hammer curls and some crunches. That's it. That's my workout. It generally takes me about 45 to 60 minutes. That's day 1. And then on the Wednesday, this is what I'm doing. So I'm doing a chest pass with a medicine ball. So an explosive movement again to get the CNS, the central nervous system, fired up. Then what I'll do is I'll do some incline press, dumbbells. I prefer dumbbells over the barbell. If you like the barbell, that's great. But as I age, I like to make sure that I have the control of the dumbbells. And all of my exercises are really controlled down on the eccentric. And then I'll pause at the minute just for a second. I'm not resting at the bottom, but I just want to make sure that I can explode concentrically. And I know that just sounds like a bunch of jargon, but I don't want to bounce. My goal is not to bounce these reps. It's to be really intentional about how I want to lift the weights here, because working out is a skill. It's a skill in itself. And if I just go in and sloppily throw the weights around, I think that's irresponsible, to be honest with you. And so I really take the control. Like, I'm lifting pretty heavy, and that's what I'll do next. Then I'll do some close grip, either a barbell press or dumbbells. I prefer the dumbbells. I'll stay on the dumbbells for that one. Then I'll do some step-ups, body weight or a kettlebell, like a 60-pound kettlebell on each hand. Then I'll do some split squats, or rear foot elevated split squats. Those ones I do body weight. I'm exhausted by that point. And then I'll do some tricep, like a push down, like a rope push down. I like the 2 ropes, and I will do that. So that's my Wednesday workout. And then I get into Friday, and then I'm trying to nail some rows, some glute ham raises, doing some more chin-ups, but a different grip. So maybe some supinated, again, controlled if I needed to. And then I might do some sled pushes or pulls or whatever I need to do. So that's what my strength training looks like at this point. I'm a lot more structured when I'm not going towards a goal. I'm a lot more structured with my strength training when I'm not going towards like a race goal, or if it's hockey season or something like that. If it's outside of that, I really dial it in, and I'm 5 days lifting by that point, maybe 6 days. And I've been injury free for a long time. I did have a little bit of a knee issue earlier this year. It was just because my body wasn't used to so much volume from the running. So I've been working on it. It's something that feels a lot better right now. Body still feels good. So that's what my training split looks like. In terms of my diet right now, honestly, I've had to shoot my calories up. You know, I used to be anywhere from about 1,800 to 2,500, and that was to maintain about 180 pounds for me. But right now I'm at about 4,500 per day. Like I'm eating quite a bit, and that's okay because I'm training for a performance goal. The thing is I had a coach, a mentor a long time ago where I had the question, it's like, well, yes, I want to train for performance, but I also want to look good. And the coach said to me, you have to choose one. You can't have your cake and eat it too, for lack of an analogy. But that stuck with me for a long time. If I'm training for aesthetics, that's the goal. If I'm training for performance, that's the goal. I really can't differentiate the two. So right now I am training mainly for performance. Does that mean I'm putting on a little bit of fat? Sure. Do I really care? No, it really doesn't matter at this point. And I do shed weight pretty easily, so it's not like I'm gaining a ton of weight. I'm just holding on to a little bit right now, and that's okay by me. I actually had a friend of mine ask me, how are you eating in a surplus during this affordability crisis that's going on right now? So I'm in Canada, and so the cost of living right now is pretty high and it's pretty challenging. To be honest with you, the dollar store. That's where I load up on a lot of stuff. Like you can get some canned fruit. I just got some canned peaches the other day, canned tuna. You can get rice cakes. You can really find some high calorie foods really easy there. And then just your staples, potatoes, sweet potatoes, eggs, all of those are still really good for bulking, or not bulking, but just eating in a surplus. And that's what I really focus on. My meals are pretty boring, to be honest with you. Like I don't go crazy on the meals. I eat a lot of carbs. I eat a lot of protein. Generally speaking, is I do start with the calorie goal, then the protein goal, and then the carbs and fats will follow. So right now I'm about 4,500 calories, probably looking at about 200 to 250 grams of protein per day. And then the rest I'll just fill up with carbs. Do I track it as much anymore? No, I have a general understanding and that's what I like to focus on. But the general understanding comes from years and years and years of experimentation. So I don't just say that to everybody. It is important for a little bit. If you're not sure where you are, track it for a little bit. There's nothing inherently wrong with tracking. What a lot of people do though is they associate value and meaning with tracking. If you missed your numbers, you're somehow bad. And I don't believe that at all. It's a data point. It's data. And so understanding your data and how your body responds to certain numbers and being honest about it too. Like if you put 2 tablespoons of olive oil in your dressing, measure it, like log that. It can't just be a free pour into the pan and then being like, I don't know why I'm not seeing my goals. Well, you have to be honest with yourself for a little bit. Sometimes really controlling the data points is one of the most important things that I can recommend for people. Yeah, anyways, that's how I now understand it a little bit more because I can eyeball a lot of it. If I had more of an aesthetic goal right now, I would be definitely logging everything. But right now, because it's performance, I have a little bit of wiggle room that I can eat a little bit more and I'm A-okay with that. But yeah, my meals are very basic, like so basic. Like I'm talking meat, rice, potatoes, vegetables, fruit, Greek yogurt, granola if I need to, I'll eat, and just repeat. I eat that stuff on repeat. I eat a lot of eggs. I'm talking 6 eggs. Sourdough bread is a big one for me as well, and I will eat those on a regular basis. The body doesn't have a lot of joint pain, which is great at this age because I try to limit the amount of processed sugar that I'm getting into it. Maybe I'll have a cookie every now and again. I don't want any diet that doesn't allow for any wiggle room, but I just don't eat the whole box. That's just the approach and what works for me. This is what works for me today. In terms of my meal timing, and like I mentioned, I was someone who fasted for a long time. And I did that for like 7, 8 years. I would not eat my first meal until about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And I would train fasted and then still not eat post-workout. I would wait until 1 o'clock. And so that worked for me for a while. And then I was noticing that my gains weren't happening anymore, and not anymore, but I just kind of plateaued. So I started introducing breakfast again. And it's been just awesome for me. It's been really helpful. I'm not saying that I'm anti-fasting. I'm really pro-fasting still. I think it can help a lot of people. But right now, it's just in my stage of life. It's not something that I'm doing. I'm eating a light breakfast. If I'm going for a run, if I'm lifting, I'm still fasted, but then I'll have something right after my workout, immediately after my workout. And that's been working for me, to be honest with you, on a regular basis. So right now I'm pushing my body to its limits. So I'm really focusing on, when I'm out on the runs as well, I have to focus on the nutrition, because this 50K race, there are aid stations, but I have to train meal timing as well. So even before my runs, I'm having electrolytes, I'm having some fruit, I'm having some protein, just to make sure that I'm feeling satiated while I'm going for a run. And then during the run, I haven't done it yet and I plan to, is just the electrolyte gels that I'm going through. Or, I was actually out for a run with a friend of mine the other day. He makes his own. And so he's doing maple syrup, honey, some electrolytes like magnesium, and he's buying those in bulk. And it's just been such a cost saver for him. And I like that idea. I might even try that, just making my own electrolyte mix. We'll see how it goes. I haven't really decided yet, and I have to practice with what that meal timing looks like. So my whole training split, my diet, my nutrition is not perfect, and that's the point. Life isn't perfect. Having kids, having two parents who are working, doing chores around the house, cleaning, cooking, all that sort of thing, it all adds up. None of it is perfect. We're just trying to do the best that we can with what we have available to us. And so I don't want to be perfect. I think it causes a lot of stress. It causes some body dysmorphia. It really puts people in a place of shame. So I had to let go of that perfection, and I struggled with it for a long time too when I was going through my weight loss journey. But now I'm really focused on consistency and how I can make this scalable for my kids, and how I can, inspire them to do stuff like this too. So it's just been good. I will talk a little bit about fatigue as well, because that's a big one for me. And so if you're a guy in your late 30s, 40s, I would love to hear your thoughts on this and how you're battling it. But fatigue for me has been a killer. And I notice when I wake up in the morning, that's when I have most of my energy. But by the end of the day, I am physically exhausted, mentally exhausted, and I do have some trigger points with the kids, to be honest with you, because my 5-year-old, she still screams when she doesn't get her way, and she just throws her head up and she's like, ah! And it's just, for some reason, I don't know what it is, but I don't have the capacity to deal with the kids at that point. So I get frustrated, I get so exhausted, and to be honest with you, I'm in bed right after I put them down to bed. So they're in bed at 8 o'clock. I'm in bed by 8 o'clock. And to be honest with you, that's not great for a marriage. And I know this. I am totally aware of this, and I'm trying to work on it, because my wife does stay up a little bit. And that's her prerogative. That's how she disconnects from the day. Once the kids are in bed, she wants some time as well to just, breathe. So that is something that I really struggle with, to be honest with you, is how do I avoid getting so tired at the end of the day? Because my job, I'm also in I'm in a director level position. I'm in a manager's position doing director level type work. And there's a lot of decisions that need to be made throughout the day. And so I get decision fatigue when I'm talking with my wife, when I'm talking with my kids. So if questions come up about who's going to drive the kids to this, or who's taking the kids to the birthday party, or whatever, honestly, that just stresses me out a little bit. I actually hit a big wall this past week, and it was hard for me. It was hard for me as a high performer to hit this wall. We had a death in the family as well, so that didn't help. My wife and I have been really just trying to navigate this together, and it's been really difficult. And I know that I'm part of the problem. I definitely am. And I think a lot of guys at this age feel this, and they struggle with this too. But this is something with our running group, that the Rad Dads running group, that we've really unlocked. And I think it's so powerful when you get a group of guys together and you just spill the beans. Because therapy is great. I'm a big proponent of therapy and counseling. I do have a therapist myself. But to be able to talk to guys who are also high performers and realize their struggles, realize what is fueling them and what's worked for them and what's not worked for them, it's just so valuable. This is, honestly, I cannot say enough about running groups. I know it sounds a little bit scary to join one. This is why we created one, because it's guys that we know, it's guys that we can open up about. It's guys that are training for one of the guys in the running group, he just finished a half marathon today. He's battling a knee injury right now, so good for him for working through, and he did it smart. He trained properly leading up to it. He didn't push his pace, and he was really happy with his time. There's another guy who's actually qualified for Spain for half Ironmans. I don't know what the event is actually called, but so he is pushing a lot of biking distance, a lot of swimming distance, a lot of running distance. But all of them are just really great guys. One of the other guys, he helps with power skating for hockey. He was a high-level hockey player back in his day as well. And it's just so great to connect with like-minded men, because men often go inward when there's a problem. And sorry, I shouldn't say men. I often go inward. Let's just be honest. I go inside and I don't take the time to realize that other people are affected too. And so I avoid. I will work like crazy. I will put my head down and do what needs to be done. That's absolutely in my DNA to do. But what that does is it just leaves other people feeling empty. And so I've come to this realization this past week, and it was really hard for me as someone who has always been seen as the provider for the family. And I put that label on myself. So when I see myself as the provider, it's really hard for my identity to not provide the way that you want to. And you feel like a failure, or I feel like a failure when I don't see the results that I've been working so hard towards. And this is why I think it's so valuable to talk to other people. And I do think it's trite to say, though, that like if you're struggling, just reach out. And I hear that often. I think that's not helpful advice. When guys are going through stuff, just saying, just reach out, it's a platitude. It doesn't mean anything. And so I had to force myself, look myself in the mirror and be like, what do I really need here? What I found out is I need to be pushed by other guys who are being faced by the same thing, like pushed, being like, hey, you're fucking up your marriage. And that's a real realization to me, to have that thrown at you. Because sometimes, like I work from home, this is my setup, and sometimes I'm living in an echo chamber. It's an echo chamber of one. I don't get the group interaction throughout the week. So this is so good for my mental health, and I think that it's really important. But yeah, that's just something that I've been struggling with over the last little bit here. The fatigue, the mental health has been hard over the last little bit here. I will say there has been some, I'll get back to the physical here, like there has been some tightness. I did have that knee injury that I battled. It was only about a week. And what I found is I had this nagging thing around my which leg was it? I can't even remember, left or right, it doesn't matter. We'll say my right leg. And I noticed it was like right below the kneecap. And I was noticing it in the gym one day, and I kind of just rubbed on it. I was like, oh yeah, if I rub on this, it's gonna massage it out, it's going to loosen it up. No, it made it worse. And so I went through ChatGPT, and I wasn't trying to self-diagnose myself, but I listed my symptoms and I tried to see what it was. And I actually listed some other symptoms because I couldn't do hamstring curls afterwards. And that was painful, not being able to do hamstring curls directly after. So it said that it had something to do with my tendon. And it was about a week and a half to recover. And that's okay. Like I was good with it. I still did my upper body. I still went for some gentle walks, like nothing crazy. I was limping for a little bit, but it's all good. It's all good now. But that's something that I'm trying to work on now too, is a little bit more recovery so that these things don't come and surprise me down the road, as I'm about 3 months out from this race that I've got at the end of August in Bragg Creek. Another thing that I'm struggling with is just scheduling the stuff around family stuff. My wife is really supportive about me going towards this goal. She knows that like the next 3 months are going to be a little bit challenging here. So we have to be super diligent about making sure that our calendar is up to date. And so we have a shared calendar that now we plunk everything in right now. And it's check the calendar first to make sure that before you book any of these runs. And I think that's really important as well. Another thing too that I always struggle with, and I think everybody struggles with, is just the consistency, especially when you're not seeing the results or milestones that you're looking for. For example, in my run today, we did 20K out at Glenbow Ranch Provincial Park. And we were hoping for about 2 hours time on feet. I think we got to about an hour 40 and there was incline towards the end. So I was like, oh, let's just shut it down. We could have gone for another 20 minutes. Sure, that's fine. We only hit, I think, 19, 20K. Not a huge deal. It's not a huge deal in the grand scheme of things, but it's just, how do I stay consistent? How do I push through? I got to find that extra push to get there. But yeah, we'll get there. I feel like I'm still building towards something that matters. And I think that that's more important than anything. Like, consistency is more important than having a perfect program every single time. The fact that I'm just getting out there is more important than hitting every single metric, every single KPI, every single session. It's the cumulative over the months that I'm really looking for. So I just wanted to start this journey on content. I have been posting short stuff on TikTok and Instagram, but I think it's important to get some short form too, so that you can see my mindset. I also think it's like a journal for myself, so that I can understand when I look back and be like, hey, you went through this, you did this. And I think that's the biggest thing. And if anybody's looking to get into running, this is just my log and my journal, because I will get questions often where it's like, oh, what running gear should I do? Or I want to train for a 5K, how should I start? And it's just, sometimes you just got to start. Start with where you are. Start with going at the MVP, like what's the minimum viable product that you can do to be successful. So if you're aiming for a 5K, I would recommend starting with 1K. 1 kilometer, go to 1.1 kilometers the next day, 1.2 the following week, you know what I mean? And just scale up that way. And then obviously just making sure that it fits within your schedule and doing some time blocking and everything like that. Honestly, this is just kind of my journey to start. And if you're in your 30s or 40s and still chasing something, I think that you're totally capable. And I just want to share this as a way for other men who are going through it, going through the life, going through their career, going through the kids, all that sort of thing. Just let you know that you are valuable and you can accomplish these goals too. And maybe this is just like a video journal for myself and for other people out there too. Anyways, if you enjoyed this, drop me a comment, drop me a like, whatever you need to do, follow the channel. But thanks for listening all the way to the end, and I'll talk to you on the next one.